the will and desire to teach. Our teachers want to be teachers. People go into education for a number of different reasons. Our teachers make clear that there is a strong desire to be a teacher for a number of specific reasons. 75% of UAE teachers indicated that teaching was their first career choice. The OECD average is 67%. 97% of teachers in the UAE cite the opportunity to influence children's development, or contribute to society as a major motivation. So in other words, there is a desire to be a contribution to the community and to society, and then also to want to contribute to the development of children. Our teachers believe that the teaching profession is valued in society. In the UAE, 72% of the teachers polled feel that is a statement that they can get behind. In OECD, 26%. Our teachers also believe that their views are valued by policymakers in this country. So they feel as though they're not by themselves. 72% believe that there is an alignment between our policymakers as well as what it is that they believe in terms of the value of education. And OECD, the number is 19%. Percentage of teachers who report that the following elements were of moderate or high importance in becoming a teacher. Let's take a look at these statistics. Teaching allowed me to influence the development of children and young people. And of course, I want you to feel free to go ahead and read through, but I'm going to show you as the purple bar speaks directly to the UAE and what UAE teachers are saying and thinking about these correlating or corresponding statements. I looked at 3 in particular, which was the first one in which I read, where UAE teachers rate at 97.5% in terms of the feeling that we're doing this because we want to develop our young people. The second, teaching allowed me to provide a contribution to society. Again, is this notion of service, this willingness and desire to serve and to be of service within the community. These are all extremely important because when the work gets hard, as we know it all gets challenging and difficult, there is something else that is internal, that is intrinsic, that causes a person to say they want to be a part of this and they want to continue to be of service in it. And the third, teaching offered a steady career path. This is important also for a couple of reasons. One, some people could say, well, it's a job. But other people could say, because it offers a steady career path, it would give us the kind of stability and sustainability that we would want to have ultimately, because everyone knows that as we have consistency of teachers and leaders throughout our schools, it gives us more of an opportunity to not start all over, but to keep the momentum going so that we can continue working towards the goals that we set for our students. This chart represents growth opportunities. With regards to the data which was shared, 62% of our teachers as being female, 38% male. It provides an opportunity for us to think about ways that we can balance that gap that exists between the two. Opportunities for more males to become teachers. There are a number of reasons as to why males traditionally throughout many countries choose not to go into education and teaching, but there is a clear need to have more balance and more males in classrooms as well. And so this is an opportunity for us to be able to close that gap and change that through policies at different levels, at the governmental level, even at the school level as it relates to recruiting. But there's also another opportunity. There's an opportunity here for us to look at the sort of gender balance or disproportionate indication that speaks to the 62% of females who are teaching and the 51% that actually become our school leaders. The question one would ask is there some sort of disproportionality as it relates to the amount of teachers to principals or school leaders that we have and that we're seeing here. As we continue to read through the report, we happen to see that it might not be that the teachers are not being promoted, but it might be that many are not applying for positions. And so that even creates an opportunity for us to begin to think about and to look at who is applying and who is being promoted, how are they being promoted, promotional policies, and so on. So this is a growth opportunity that shows up as it relates to the research. Who and how are we serving? Teaching in the UAE presents its own unique yet welcome set of challenges. We're serving a high percentage of migrant students. 28% of teachers work in classes with more than 10% of students who are immigrants or have a migrant background. The OECD average is 17%. Comparatively, the UAE serves a higher percentage of students whose first language is different from their language of instruction. 50% of our UAE teachers work in classes with more than 10% of students whose first language differs from the language of instruction. Again, the OECD average is 18%. Training to teach in multicultural settings was included in many of our teachers' formal preparation. 76% of UAE teachers were trained to teach in a multicultural or multilingual setting as part of their formal training, and 80% feel prepared to teach in multicultural and multilingual settings. Embracing diversity is extremely important here in the UAE. We acknowledge, celebrate, and embrace diversity. According to school leaders, 94% of UAE schools have implemented, promoted, supported organizational and curricular activity encouraging students' expression of diverse and ethnic identity. The numbers bear as 94% compared to 61% in the OECD average. 90% of UAE teachers feel they can cope with the challenges of a multicultural classroom, teaching culturally diverse classes. OECD at 67%. As it relates to how students are taught and how differentiation looks in classrooms, in the UAE, many of our teachers were trained to teach in mixed ability settings. 87% of UAE teachers were trained to teach in mixed ability settings as part of their formal training. 88% feel prepared to teach in their respective settings after formal study completion. Pre-service as well as in-service training to support teachers in meeting the needs of all students. Our teachers are skilled and qualified. 2 out of every 3, 66% UAE teachers completed either a regular, concurrent, or consecutive teacher education program. 85% of our UAE teachers reported instruction in subject content, pedagogy, or classroom practice. Teachers are thoughtfully and methodically onboarded. 68% of UAE teachers report having participated in some kind of formal or informal induction when they join their current school. This is compared to 42% of teachers across OECD and the countries and economies that are surveyed. Preparation confidence gap. As we look at this chart, we have the opportunity to see how our teachers are actually trained and what they're actually, some of the things that they're trained in and some of the areas in which they're trained. The upper bar speaks directly to areas of training and how teachers report their training, the degree or measure of their training, and the lower bar speaks to their degree of confidence and how prepared they feel as it relates to those corresponding areas. On this chart, we clearly see 1, 2, and 3 top levels, content of some or all subject areas, high degree of preparedness, but then we see the gap in terms of the lower percentage in terms of how teachers feel about them being prepared to do the work. As we move down, we see opportunities. Teaching in a mixed ability setting, use of ICT for teaching, teaching in a multicultural or multilingual setting, we see they are the lowest reported as it speaks to preparation and training in schools. And then we also see the bar is even lower as it speaks to how comfortable and confident teachers feel about where they stand in being able to facilitate in those settings. So now we look at a growth opportunity. In the UAE, 16% of our teachers work in classes where at least 10% of the students have special needs. OECD reports it's averaged at 27%, a higher percentage. 42% of our UAE school principals report that delivery of quality instruction in their school is hindered by a shortage of teachers with competence in teaching students with special needs. The OECD average is 32%. There's an opportunity here. The UAE, however, I must say, is making strides to more effectively evaluate, serve, and support its students of determination. Al Karima School in Abu Dhabi focuses on supporting students with autism and is continuing to share practices with schools, promising practices in terms of how to better support our students. Also, a recent trip to the Knowledge and Human Development Authority in Dubai allowed us to take a look and see some of the tools and resources that are being created in order to better support students of determination or students who have special needs. So there is a commitment to moving forward with determining how we can better serve our students of determination. Next, impacting teaching and learning. Community begins with a shared vision. Our students and teachers are resonating with one another. 96% of UAE teachers agree that students and teachers usually get on well with each other. Fewer students are bullying and intimidating. 8% of principals report regular acts of intimidation or bullying among their students. This number is lower than the OECD average of 14%. We are exhibiting acceptance, tolerance, and inclusion. 96% of school leaders report that their teachers believe that students should learn that people of different cultures have numerous commonalities. The OECD average is 95%. And teachers are working collegially and innovatively. 89% of UAE teachers report that they and their colleagues support each other in implementing new ideas. This is comparatively higher than the OECD average at 78%. Percentage of teachers who frequently or always use the following practices in their classroom. We selected the highest 3 in terms of how teachers are teaching in their classrooms or how they see what they're doing in their classrooms. The first, explain to students what I expect them to learn. Establishing clear expectations are first and foremost in the teaching process. 2, explain how new and old topics are related. 3, setting goals at the beginning of instruction. Those are the top 3 areas as it speaks to how teachers are practicing. Now we see that throughout this graph, there are quite a few practices that are highlighted, and the UAE has exceeded beyond OECD in terms of the other schools, but these three areas are the ones that sort of stand out that I thought I would just share with you and talk just a little bit about. So there is a connection. Teachers aren't just teaching without support. Support comes from administration as well. Robert Marzano talks about the effect of the teacher, but then also talks about the effect of the leaders of the schools. And so as it relates to instructional leadership, we're finding that the principals, their time is spent on administrative tasks and meetings at a rate of 21% as they self-assess. OECD rate is at 30%. Principals' time spent on curriculum and teaching related tasks and meetings. UAE, 21%, OECD at 16%. So we are certainly moving in the right direction in terms of where we would like to be. More teachers serving as instructional leaders, spending time in classrooms, spending time creating the kinds of schedules that are necessary to support teacher meetings, teacher PD. Our school leaders are more and more focused on the core of teaching and learning. Professional learning impact. 88% of UAE teachers participate in training based on peer learning and coaching. 70% of UAE teachers participate in professional networks as part of their professional development. OECD average is 40%. 88% of UAE teachers reported that the training they receive has a positive impact on their teaching practice. OECD average is 82%. 94% of UAE teachers recognize their most effective training occurred when they were afforded opportunities to practice, apply new ideas and knowledge of their teacher's own classroom. OECD average is 86%. Characteristics of effective professional development. Our teachers simply say this: they want to be exposed to PD that focuses on behaviors and skills and less on knowledge and just information. They want to move towards more active professional development and not passive professional development where something is being dumped into them. But it is about trying to receive, trying to experience, and trying to practice, or have given the opportunities to practice. Specifically, looking at teaching students with special needs is one area where they would like to improve their skill set and their ability to serve those students, and they want to practice it actively. ICT skills for teaching, school management and administration, teaching cross-curricular skills, and teaching in a multicultural or multilingual setting. Because the world is changing, it is important that these are skills that aren't just learned and we move on, but they are constant. And it's a constant learning that has to take place so that our teachers are always up to date and always current with what is occurring globally. Mentoring. I quit. I don't feel ashamed to say it, that in 1989, I quit. I sat at my kitchen table and wrote a letter of resignation to my principal after serving as a teacher's assistant for 2 years and getting a degree in education. It was too much. And those second graders ran me ragged. And it was not until my principal took the time to deny my resignation and appoint a mentor to me who actually helped me develop my skills in classroom management. She helped me to write lesson plans that were effective. She helped me to evaluate my effectiveness as it relates to delivering lessons. She sat in my classroom and gave me feedback. This is what we're looking at as it relates to the mentoring and the existence of mentoring here in the UAE. Each one teaching one, each one helping one. Our teachers support other teachers. The UAE teachers, 42% replied yes to the question. And the question is, do they have a mentor to support them? Non-UAE teachers, 9% replied yes, I have a teacher to support me, a mentor. When asked if they are currently an assigned mentor tasked with supporting other teachers, teachers responded as such. In the UAE, 33% said yes to the question. 11% non-UAE teachers replied yes to that very question. So let's just take a quick look at the importance of mentoring as teachers see it, because of how deeply we feel about the importance of mentoring and the peer-to-peer interactions that take place. One, to support less experienced teachers in their teaching is a reason why we need to begin to think about doing more and more mentoring to improve teachers' pedagogical competence, to improve teachers' collaboration with colleagues, to strengthen teachers' professional identity, to improve students' general performance, and to expand teachers' main subject knowledge. And there are a number of other reasons as well, but these are the ones that were identified as it relates to this report. Growth opportunities. Two were highlighted here, and these two speak directly to, they were the top two, as to how teachers feel about PD and the opportunities that are presented to them. As it relates to PD and the teachers' participation in PD, one, our teachers feel as though there are not enough incentives that would support them as they decide to participate in PD. So the question is, what are the incentives that exist that would have a teacher want to be a part of the PD program? In addition, I mean, this is outside of their professional responsibilities. And then the second is there was a lack of employer support. There was not enough information for me to dig in to determine exactly what that support is, but I'm sure as we continue to look into the study and survey our teachers, we can find out exactly what that means as it relates to employer support. And this takes us to our last place, implications for policy. And there are just a few points that I have here. What can we do to move forward at the governmental level, at the school, at the local level as well? What are the things that we can do in order to use this study that we've heard from teachers and leaders in order to improve the quality of teaching and learning? Foster support mechanisms for new teachers, induction and mentoring especially. Encourage collaboration and team teaching for new teachers. This is something that occurs. We want to do it to an even greater extent. Review professional development offered to respond to teachers' needs and emergent trends. Continue listening to the teachers and what they're saying. Review the administrative burden and how to alleviate it so that school leaders and teachers can focus more on teaching and learning. Encourage and empower teachers to innovate. Support and empower teachers and school leaders to continue making the most of diversity in schools, and incentivize participation in professional development. If you want to know more about the TALIS results, or you want to take the data that we've actually shared here today to learn more about, if you have questions, please feel free to log on here, and you can reach out specifically to Yuri at the address. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.